Hello and welcome to another tier list video. It's not a Tuesday, but of course we're going to rank all the upgrades today, but also some nerfs which we have here for the good balancing tier. But in general, we're going to have some very overpowered upgrades where like Pokemon are really going to be top tier meta. We have some very good upgrades as well, a lot of side grades to be fair. A lot of times where the move is actually not even preferred, and a lot of Pokemon that are just basically unusable here. So we're going to start right into it. Of course, if you haven't seen my video prior for the new season, definitely check that one out. Going to be linked in the end card, but we're going to have a lot more different videos coming up for the new season, so definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Next one going to be here, first one here going to be Beedrill, going to have an upgrade with both Aerial Ace, which is most likely going to be a 35 energy move, could be 40 energy move, but I heard it's 35 from a lot of people, so hopefully it's going to be like this. It's going to be a good upgrade, but also has access to Exeter, which is most likely the upgrade that's the best for it, which is going to be a Surf clone as a bug type move, which is a little bit unfortunate because you now need 6 fast moves to get to it, but definitely still an upgrade damage wise, which is really cool. In general, we don't know the exact numbers for Astonish, we don't know the exact numbers for the Dig, we don't know like how much energy it takes, we don't know the exact number for Sky Attack, which is definitely 50 energy, anything else doesn't make sense. We don't know the exact number for Boom Burst. Aerial Ace, where I said before, like I heard at least that it would be 35 energy from several sources, so that's what I'm going for. For Spark, I don't know directly, it's most likely 7 energy. I hope it's 6 energy for Spark, by the way, because otherwise it's still very strong. And Astonish is also something, of course, which you don't know, which most likely going to be a rollout clone. Just before that, the rest we all know. We know all the other move stats already, so we can definitely take a look at this one. Next one here, first, like the next Pokemon going to be Sandslash, the normal variant going to get access to Scorching Sand, which is an 80 damage move for 50 energy, which is very decent. I've already made a video for it. Has a 30% chance to debuff the opponent's attack. It's, in my opinion, a good upgrade, actually. I wouldn't even say it's side grade. Side grade is something, for example, like the Ninetales, where, for example, Overheat is a very strong alternative, which you kind of want to use at least right now. But still, the Scorching Sand will most likely see some use as well. You also have, like, the Side Shock option on the Ninetales, so there's way more different options there. While Earthquake got nerfed on the Sandslash, so Scorching Sand really helps this Pokemon out. Next Pokemon, going to be Arcanine. This Pokemon does not really like to have Scorching Sand, most likely because they have Psychic Fangs on this Pokemon. You have most likely something like Fire Fang as a fast move, and then you're going to have a Wild Charge as a coverage for Water-type Pokemon. I don't think you really want to have the coverage for example, I mean, Rock-type, it's nice, the Scorching Sand as a Ground-type move, but otherwise you don't really want this too much. And unless it's going to be getting a better fast move, which we haven't got yet, most likely right now this Pokemon doesn't even want to have this move. Actually, a very strong Pokemon is going to be Onix, and I might even put it like into one of the OP buffs. It's like very strong for the Little Cup, I would guess, as it's already one of the bulkiest Pokemon, having Breaking Swipe as a very fast charge move there, plus the option to either go for the defense drop onto the opponent with Sand Tomb, or for the attack drop with a Breaking Swipe in the Little Cup, going to be insanely strong. So Onix, one of the coolest Pokemon as well here for sure. Next one, going to be one which got the move Razor Shell here, going to be the Kingler, going to be not preferred on this Pokemon. Crabhammer is just way better. Next one, going to be Blaze Kick onto the Hitmonlee, which is going to be a very great side upgrade there. Like, you can still use Close Combat as well as Stone Edge, which might give you better coverage against Flying type Pokemon, but it's the cheapest move that you can get on this Pokemon, so it's definitely a good side grade. Not really the biggest upgrade for it though. Next Pokemon actually got a lot of upgrades. This Pokemon got Trailblaze, Aerial Ace, as well as the Exeter buff, so like triple buffed Scissor. I would actually just have it as a great, I wouldn't actually say it's a good upgrade, is it? Like, depending really on the moves. Like, I actually kind of would like to put it a little bit higher, but it's just not really the best Pokemon itself. I would just put it as a cool side grade. Like, it's an interesting option to use right now, especially with Trailblaze. Trailblaze would be able to boost the attack of this Pokemon, but also it's not as preferred if you have Aerial Ace and the Exeter, which both got buffed this season. So going to be an interesting one. Now we're going to have a lot of them that are not really preferred, or like, yeah, this is Chikorita, very decent in the Little Cup, does not want to have the Magical Leaf. Same goes for the Evolution Meganium, which doesn't want to have Magical Leaf. They're going to be the mid-stage somewhere as well, which also gonna fall into this tier. Now we're gonna take a look at the Noctowl. Noctowl is of course a balancing move, going to most likely take 50 energy now to get to the Sky Attack, going to allow to, like, needs one more fast move now basically. When this Pokemon still has great stats and still going to not go anywhere. It's going to be a little bit slower, which I guess is very nice, but it's still going to be very strong. Don't be worried about this. And the same is for Lantern. Lantern is... Honestly, I wish that the Spark gets nerfed even further, because right now if you have the 2 more damage and 1 less energy, yeah, by the way, I'm going to most likely make a fully in-depth variant of this one as well for just the best upgrades, or like the most interesting upgrades for the current season, but this Pokemon itself with Spark, it's actually nearly more of an upgrade because you do consistent damage with a fast move and you can get easier knockouts with Surf because of the extra damage output there. So I'm actually not even too sure if this is going to go anywhere different. Like, this Pokemon is going to be still very strong. Of course, a lot of Pokemon got now Trailblaze, which is a very decent coverage move, which is going to be super effective on Lantern, but otherwise this Pokemon going to be very decent still. Of course, Scorching Sand also would be super effective, so they definitely try to do some coverage moves on it, but it's still going to be insanely good. Speaking of a great upgrade, we're going to have here now the Ampharos, which is going to be very decent as well, and going to now get the move Trailblaze as well as a grass type coverage. Honestly, I actually kind of want to put it higher than this, but yeah, like, honestly, I actually most likely gonna put it into a OP buff. Like, I really like this Pokemon, and I think it's going to help this Pokemon out quite a bit. Already having Brutal Swing as great coverage, giving it now Trailblaze to boost itself the fast move. So Volt Switch, Shadow Volt Switch plus Blaze boost, going to be so hard hitting in the Ultra League right now. Having the best coverage, having coverage against Swampert now, makes this Pokemon super strong. Honestly, love this buff on this Pokemon. I think it's going to be super cool to see. Like, of course, the Pokemon itself is not like crazy overpowered or whatever, but it's going to be super cool to see how this Pokemon going to play out. Even the Great League, it's going to be very decent. But buffing basically the Volt Switch, going to be super nice for it. Next Pokemon, actually going to have a lot of different buffs, but I don't think it's going to have any impact on them. Going to be both Astonish as well as the Dig would be learned by the Dunsparce, but Dig is unlikely to be better than the what's called Drill Run, which is already one of the strongest moves in the game, and Drill Run is 80 damage and Dig is 80 damage, so I'm fairly certain that Dig going to be 50 energy, and I don't think it's going to make the biggest impact unless Dig is going to be 45 energy or like 40 energy. Well, like 40 and 45 would be the same as Drill Run then. Like, this Pokemon will not get a great upgrade or anything like this, but I don't see them going for that one, so I don't think that this Pokemon going to be too great for it. As well as I'm going to expect to see more flying type Pokemon with Aerial Ace if Aerial Ace actually ends up at 35 energy, so Rollout is most likely preferred for that reason already. So most likely not the best upgrade for that one. One of the coolest upgrades I would not put into Overpowered because I looked through all the stats and like all the matchups and whatever. But Gligar, great upgrade, going to get buffed with both Aerial Ace as well as Dig, which is going to be very nice for it. So now it has a hard-hitting secondary charge move. You can go for Aerial Ace Night Slash or Night Slash Dig or Aerial Ace Dig as well. Like, you have like different options for the charge moves, which is really cool to see. Having to Wing Attack going to help this Pokemon out quite a bit. Very cool upgrade for this one. Definitely an interesting one there. Next one going to be one of the overpowered one again. Breaking Swipe on this Pokemon on Steelix makes it a really strong, and you kind of want to shift the entire moveset a little bit thanks to this one, because now you kind of want to go for Dragon Tail, Breaking Swipe, Earthquake in my opinion. Because what this is going to allow you to do is, against nearly every neutral matchup, you can just go for Breaking Swipe plus Dragon Tail. You're going to do a ton of damage, but against Pokemon like Carping, for example, you really want to have the coverage move of Earthquake, as well as for the Ultra League, where you usually have like something like Crunch as a coverage move for the Giratina. You don't really need it anymore. You have Breaking Swipe now, going to be the better move anyway. So there's no real reason to go for the move Psychic Fangs anymore, really, because basically, if you now debuff the opponent's defense or debuff the opponent's attack, for you, basically it's kind of similar. I feel like both are kind of similar for you. So like, it's both kind of fine, and I feel like it's just a little bit better to go right now for the Breaking Swipe and not really for the Psychic Fangs for it. But yeah, I feel like this is going to be the biggest upgrade of them all, to be fair. As you can move on to the next one, I would only put it to, like, I would put it into a good upgrade, I guess. Scissor are going to have now also still Excel, of course, which is going to be a little bit better. But Excel now needs one more extra fast move again. Same issue with, like, Beedrill. And you don't really want to use it in a lot of metas anyway, where you rather go for Night Slash and Iron Head. So I'm curious on how good it's going to be but, like, I still kind of want to put it a little bit higher because it got a little bit of love here this time around, at least. Next one, going to be Mantine. Going to have now 2 damaging moves with both Aerial Ace as well as Ice Beam. Going to be definitely a great side grade till upgrade. I actually would put in like a great upgrade as well. Having Aerial Ace, if Aerial Ace actually going to be 35 energy, which at least I got told from different people, we're going to see definitely an increase of Mantine. I feel like going to be a great Pokemon to use right now. But even though Bubble Beam is also a cool option for it, I don't know, I think it's a good upgrade though, definitely a decent Pokemon. Balancing, we're going to have Swampert here right now. I don't think Swampert going to get impacted too much by this one. You can still run Earthquake on it, but I feel like maybe even Sludge Wave is going to be a little bit nicer now for this Pokemon. But yeah, gonna get nerfed thanks to Earthquake being a little bit lower. Going to be an interesting one there. But yeah, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it's going to be very strong. So like the Pokemon that got nerfed anyway, we're going to most likely make a separate video for them one. But like they're not crazy bad or anything like this. They're still very, very usable. Next Pokemon going to be Explode. It's just an unusable Pokemon, I'm sorry, like these stats are horrible. Astonish is not stab, unless Astonish going to generate like 15 energy or something like a lock on. This Pokemon will be basically nowhere. Like we have to see like crazy Astonish stats in order for this Pokemon to be decent. While Boomburst got also buffed a little bit with less energy, where I don't know about it, I would expect like 65 energy, maybe even 70 only. Currently it's 75, which is pretty bad, but I would expect like 65 or something for it. It's still not going to be a great Pokemon, sadly, unless like Astonish going to be absolutely wild, which I can't really see because the Pokemon itself is just fairly bad. Medicham, -5 damage output on a Psychic literally does not matter at all. This Pokemon is still going to be everywhere. I don't really think that the buffs as well around like the current meta really going to make it disappear or like make it appear less at all. I think it even increases it a little bit more because a lot of the Pokemon that are currently buffed are either weak to it or just neutral to it, and if you're neutral to it, it's not going to be way better either, so don't really think it's going to be the best Pokemon at all. Next one going to be Dusclops, going to get buffed, sadly not with Astonish because it doesn't learn Astonish, but it learns Poltergeist, which is going to be yeah, definitely a good usable one here. Like it's definitely the tier also for just usable Pokemon. It's definitely usable for it, so definitely high up there. It's decent to have that one definitely for this Pokemon, but yeah, like it's definitely not the craziest upgrade and doesn't really make the biggest difference. Something that's definitely a good upgrade is well Aerial Ace for the Tropius. It's a little bit I actually would put it even a little bit lower because while you think, okay, yeah, Aerial Ace was so bad on this Pokemon, you really needed a better move on it, you're still gonna go for Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade is still, like, even if like Aerial Ace gets to 35 energy, Leaf Blade is still 15 more damage. So, yes, it's going to upgrade this Pokemon a little bit, but it's not going to make that much of a difference. They usually just go for the Leaf Blade spam anyway, so not the craziest one. Again, something that got nerfed a little bit and is also kind of on a lower list where like it doesn't really matter too much where they get nerfed. I actually don't really know I just kind of want to talk about the Pokemon, to be fair, that's why I have them in there. Earthquake, again, -10. Makes it a little bit weaker in general, and I think it kind of makes a difference for this Pokemon because a lot of times you kind of had like those steel types in those nice ranges where you can just one-shot them. I'm fairly certain it's going to actually have a bigger impact on this Pokemon compared to, for example, a Swampert, which is still going to have a higher damage output anyway and has more one-shot possibilities with this one, but still not going to be crazy impacted. Same goes for Metagross, not going to be the craziest impacted as well. It's an interesting one there. Of course, with Earthquake, it didn't need the balance upgrade at all, but it's just like one of those Pokemon that just had to take one for the team. So yeah, we're going to see it here. Next one, going to be most likely a side upgrade if rollout, like if the Astonish is going to be a rollout, yeah, move basically. It's going to be similar to a Hex. It does a little bit less damage, but generates a little bit more energy than Hex. It's going to be just somewhere in the middle of it. Like it's not going to be super crazy right now, unless like rollout, like it's not going to be a rollout clone, but like way better. It's not going to be the best Pokemon ever. Next Pokemon, Overpowered. Honestly, this Pokemon is going to be so nice and I can't wait to use it. It's going to be the Voltage variant of Magdazone. So strong. It is so insanely strong, especially the Shadow variant. Getting opponents into range where you can even just go for the Mirror Shot base, it's insane. Like you're going to have the same energy generation as Spark, but just way more damage, and it is such an upgrade. Honestly, it's going to be super good, but you're going to see also a lot of Medichams around, so it's going to be an interesting one there. And another very strong upgrade, which is kind of overlooked, is Rhyperior. Rhyperior in the Master League is insane with Breaking Swipe now. going to be such a cool breaker for most of the meta. It was already fairly decent before. I loved using it before, and now it's going to be so much better. Going to be able to hit those Rayquazas super fast. Going to just be able to get those matchups so much easier done. As well as you're going to have two options of playing this Pokemon, either with Smackdown or with Mud Slap, and both of them are totally fine. If you go for Smackdown, you're going to completely destroy Lugia. Most of the Dragon-type Pokemon has a lot of neutral matchups, but also if you go for Mud Slap, you completely destroy all the Steel-type Pokemon, which is going to be super nice for this one. So Rhyperior going to be super meta for the Master League. I'm going to tell you right now, this Pokemon going to be amazing. Definitely have that one. Same, which is also a very good upgrade, is going to be Aerial Ace on the Togekiss. I wouldn't really put it into Overpowered or whatever, but like if it's going to be 35 energy, it's going to be super fast to get there for the Togekiss, giving it a very easy charge move to get to for the Master League especially. So that's going to be wild, especially if it's someday going to get a better fast move. It's going to be super good. And actually, I think I don't have it in here right now. I think the pre-evolution Togetic also learns Aerial Ace, doesn't it? Let me check it real quick at this site as well. But if it does, then definitely Togetic going to have also a great time for it. Let me check. It does learn Aerial Ace, and Togetic, don't have it in the list, forgot about it, I guess. Going to have such a great impact from that one. As like this going to make it so much better for it as well. So Togetic mostly going to lose the coverage move then of Aerial of the Ancient Power, but yeah, if Aerial Ace actually gonna get buffed like this, Togetic going to be super cool, and I can't wait for it, especially because it just has Fairy Wind, and you're going to have a very nice spammy move with it then, and still have Dazzling Gleam with it. So like Togetic definitely going to be also in a good upgrade there. Just put it together with the Togekiss basically. We're going to have next up Gliscor. I think it's kinda side grade mid because you have Earthquake before, which is going to get nerfed, which is kinda awkward for this Pokemon, but you also have Aerial Ace, which might be a little bit better. So I actually think it's kinda lower even than before. I think it's going to, I don't know, it is still kinda usable. I don't really have the best space for it here right now. It's kinda in the balancing, I guess. It was not the craziest Pokemon ever before. It was a great core breaker for the Ultra League, but now it's going to be a little bit weaker, I would say, because they kind of still won't have Night Slash. Like, Night Slash was so nice on it. I don't think you're going to use Aerial Ace instead. So I feel like it's kind of downgrade actually for this Pokemon. So interesting there. Next Pokemon going to be also interesting, going to be the Dusknoir. This Pokemon learns Astonish, so going to be interesting how this is going to be a better upgrade for it if it gets the move. Also learns Poltergeist, so it's a double upgrade, but still going to be way below the Dusclops there, which is going to be a little bit bulkier. Next side upgrade there, or like side grade, or like usable, is going to be the Superior, having access to Aerial Ace as well, going to get buffed. Very decent Pokemon as well. Somewhere definitely usable now. Definitely kind of want to try this one out. And we have another Astonished user, which I would expect that it's not preferred. I don't think it's going to be ever better than Shadow Claw, so like you don't want to have Astonish on this Pokemon. So yeah. Next one going to be a side upgrade again, going to be the Escavalier, going to have Aerial Ace again here. Going to be very nice for like flying type Pokemon that you were not really able to hit prior. Chandelure having Poltergeist, still not preferred on this Pokemon. You kind of want to have Shadow Ball, not really the best. Now we're going to go to, in my opinion, most likely the biggest downgrade. Is going to be Galarian Stunfisk, because there are a lot of Rangers where you really wanted to have the extra damage from the Earthquake, especially in like Mirror against the Registeel. So I'm fairly certain that this is the biggest downgrade, so I'm going to put it just on the top thingy here, because I'm just going to order it by downgrade, maybe a little bit. But like it is the biggest downgrade of them all, and I don't think that, like, I actually think that the usage is going to drop a little bit. It's still a good Pokemon, like you can still use it, but I feel like there are different Pokemon that have similar roles in the meta that are just a little bit better to use now. Next Pokemon going to be Ponyard, definitely cool side upgrade there, with then the X's are going to be a little bit better. Cool Pokemon, I got a really decent one, kind of want to try it out. But next Pokemon, if Aerial is actually going to be the 35 energy move, which people said to me, then this Pokemon going to be insanely good. Like this Pokemon going to be super strong now. Really wanted to have a better secondary charge move, and now it does have a better secondary charge move with Aerial Ace. Just spammy as hell, both for Great League and Ultra League. Insanely good Pokemon. I expect to see this all the time, everywhere, if this actually happens like this. So most likely one of the new strongest Pokemon for this current meta. Next Pokemon is just a good side grade, sadly. I wish that they had a Fury Cutter buff, but now we're going to have the Exeter buff, so our good friend Genesect just going to be a little bit better maybe in some scenarios, but usually you don't really want to have this on the Pokemon anyway, as Magnet Bomb is just still a little bit better as a coverage, especially for the Master League for all the Fairy-type Pokemon, so I don't really expect to see this too often. Next Pokemon going to be actually, I would put into good upgrade. The funny thing about this Pokemon is it got 3 times change basically on a similar type of move. You had Earthquake on it, which got nerfed. You had Dig on it, which got buffed. And you have now Scorching Sand on it, or like Scorching Sands, I think it is, on it, which is now basically also most likely kind of similar to Dig. So what are you gonna go for? And I'm fairly certain this Pokemon kind of got a decent buff with it, which I think is kind of cool, especially if you get the drop chance with Scorching Sand. This Pokemon going to be fairly decent, and I think it's going to be an upgrade for it. Might not show it all the time in the analysis or whatever, but I think it's a cool Pokemon to have. Next Pokemon going to have now also a better secondary charge move. It's just a side grade, to be fair, as Halucha. Still kind of needs a better fast move for it, but Flying Press plus the Aerial Ace is kind of nice. Kind of try it out again, maybe soonish, because I have one from GoFest, which was kind of nice. Not GoFest, from the EUIC, got one traded, so that's kind of nice. As we can now move on to the next one, just again a balancing upgrade. We're going to have the Zygarde. All Zygarde forms has access to Earthquake, and I'm fairly certain that's also one of the reasons why it got nerfed, because Zygarde is the rank 1 Pokemon in all the Ultra League as well as in the Master League, so I expected like kind of nerf for this Pokemon. This does definitely make some sense, so interesting nerf there. It's basically like the nerfs. It's like good balancing, it's basically the same as nerfing, but yeah, going to be interesting. Something that's interesting as well, which I don't think going to be as great as people hope it's going to be, but I hope it's going to be better than it is. But a Shiinotic really would also like to have something like a crazy Astonish buff to like 14 or 15 energy. Would be a cool Pokemon, great typing, but you also just have a different Pokemon called Whimsicott, which is just having the same typing, and already Fairy Wind, so like there is not really a reason that this Pokemon going to be too great. I guess still going to have it into just no, because it or like unusable Pokemon. I don't know. It's somewhere in between. Like, you know already what I mean, I think. I'm just gonna put it a little bit low. I don't think it's going to be that great, sadly. Next Pokemon going to be a good upgrade for it. Actually, both moves are going to be a good upgrade for it. Both Aerial Ace as well as the Excel are going to be great on the onto the Golisopod here. Golisopod going to really appreciate that one, so definitely a nice one there. Next one, Sneasler. Also both Aerial Ace as well as Exeter's coverage moves going to be amazing for this Pokemon. Definitely a great upgrade for this Pokemon as well, to have like better coverage moves on it. Definitely going to have more impact now as well. Someday we're going to get also its signature move. I think it's called like, is it Dire Hit or like Dire Claw or some stuff like this, which going to also have most likely some side effects, but it's going to be in Poison move, which is going to most likely replace those coverage moves right now. But right now it's a very decent one here. I would say it's a decent side grade, but like it's actually have to put it into not preferred. And this Pokemon gets Trailblaze as well as the buff for Aerial Ace with Ursaluna, but it's just not really the best Pokemon to have for it. It's just not really going to be that great for it. The next Pokemon I could actually expect that we're going to see a great upgrade for it. It's going to be the Golden Go. Having access to Astonish might be very decent for it. 3-turn move might be better than Hex, and Hex is not as great. So this might be kind of similar like Dusknoir. Might be a decent one there. Then we're going to have the good Rock Boy here. We're going to have the Crustle, which is going to having the Exeter upgrade as well. Again, it's a usual side grade here. It's not going to be completely destroying every meta or whatever, but it's definitely a very decent usable move on this Pokemon. We're going to have Trailblaze on the Cleaver. Sadly, it's an unusable Pokemon at the current time. Just don't use it. Same goes for the the Galarian Meowth, which is also going to get Trailblaze. Not as great. Just not preferred is the Scorching Sand on the Rapidash here. Sadly, you have Drill Run, which is going to be better as a move, so you don't really want this. Magnemite might be cool. It's just a fun Pokemon to have here. I'm just gonna put it into like the cool side grade. It's cool, you can actually run it for the Great League, but it's very squishy. But the Magneton is just better, so Magneton is also a great upgrade. Not as good most likely in a lot of metas, at least compared to Magnezone, but still has a lot of potential, because unlike Magnezone, it actually runs Magnet Bomb, which is a very good coverage move, so definitely an interesting Pokemon there. Next one, coming up here right now, going to be the Shelder, not really usable. Cloyster, sadly not a good Pokemon. Krabby, not a good Pokemon. Rhydon, actually an interesting side grade here. Having access now to Breaking Swipe as well, but it's just a little bit worse than Rhyperior, so I actually have to kind of put it below because the Pokemon itself, it's just a little bit worse than Rhyperior, I feel like, so it's just not really that great. Same goes for Mr. Mime, it's an unusable Pokemon. For Mr. Mime Galarian here, it's definitely a side grade for it, because they had only Ice Punch before. Now it has Triple Excel, which is going to get an actual attack buff, which is cool for Ice Shot as well as Confusion on this Pokemon. We're going to have the Scorching Sand on the Magma, which has definitely a cool side grade as well. Magma actually has some potential in some cups. We have the Exeter on the pins here. We're going to rush through them a little bit more because we have so many updates here, which is going to be also more of a side grade for it. You usually run Super Power and Exeter, so I guess it's actually a good upgrade. I like Pinsir quite a bit. I think it's a very cool powerhouse there. Next one, sadly just a bad Pokemon at the current time, as Tauros needs like a better fast move compared to what it has right now. It has Tackle, now it gets also Trailblaze, that's why it's up there. We're going to have also just not preferred. No, actually it is kind of preferred here, but I guess it's a cool side grade. Unlike the other ones here, this Pokemon doesn't learn Vine Whip, so like Bayleaf learns Razor Leaf. It's usually a little bit better, but I would put it as a side grade now with the new move Magical Leaf on it, but usually Magical Leaf is just not really great. Mareep, not a usable Pokemon. The next one is going to be the Evolution, which is also not usable. Both of them gonna get Trailblaze as well again, but just not really that great. We're going to have next one now another Magical Leaf Pokemon, which is just not really preferred on this Pokemon. Blossom actually a cool one, but you won't have Bullet Seed. You have another great upgrade, by the way, Trailblaze on the Sudowoodo. Giving it option to hit Water-type Pokemon for super effective damage is going to be amazing. You have Rock Slide already, you have Counter, you can go for the Shadow variant, and boosting your own attack with Counter is amazing, so this Pokemon is a great upgrade here for sure. This is one of the coolest upgrades, not gonna lie. It's a cool Pokemon to have. Next one, I don't really think that this Pokemon is going to be so good, but like it would have Astonish, so Mischievous here going to be a little bit lower. Good side grade, Trailblaze variant of the Girafarig. Don't think it's going to have crazy impacts on it, but it's going to be an interesting one to boost your own attack with your Shadow and Confusion user, most likely. Just a bad Pokemon, sadly, both for Ursaring as well as the Teddiursa. We're going to have a side grade here for Entei. Going to have now the move Scorching Sand as well. Just needs a better fast move, and it actually would have some potential, but right now, you just need a better fast move on it. I think it has Fire Spin as well as Fire Fang on it, so yeah, you can use Flame Charge, Scorching Sand right now, which is kind of interesting, but you kind of want to have Incinerate. We have Breaking Swipe on Sceptile. Looked at it, it's just a side grade. Like, Sceptile sadly itself is not the greatest Pokemon. It's a very squishy Pokemon. I think you can still deal with it, but like it just doesn't really help you because you don't really need a new like bait move because you already have Leaf Blade on it. Earthquake got nerfed, so like this Pokemon more got like of a nerf, like it's not as crazy, so yeah. Next one going to be a Dig Buff, going to be a nice side grade for Galarian Linoone. Also for the normal Linoone it would be a great side upgrade there. But yeah, it's usable, but it's not great, crazy or anything like this. Kirlia, just a bad Pokemon sadly. Gardevoir got a lot of updates like Triple Excel as well as Magical Leaf on it, and it's still just a side grade, not great to use with this at all really. You kind of want to have Triple Excel on this Pokemon, don't get me wrong, but you run Charm on it and you don't really get to the moves anyway that fast, so it's going to take a while on it. Magical Leaf doesn't really help it out too much either because Magical Leaf is not a good fast move, so it's not really the greatest upgrade ever. Roselia, not the best Pokemon, I have to zoom out a little bit. So like that's going to be a little bit awkward. Great upgrade is actually Mudshot and Swallow. I looked through it. It's actually really helping this Pokemon out quite a bit. Going to allow you to generate energy faster, being a little bit more flexible compared to Infestation, having good coverage with Sludge Bomb, Gunk Shot, and Ice Beam. Going to be very interesting for this Pokemon. Cool Pokemon to have, cool Pokemon to use. Going to be very interesting. Next two Pokemon, sadly not really usable Pokemon, going to be the Scorching Sand users here again, but the Evolution going to be definitely a cool side grade to Earth Power for the Flygon here with Scorching Sand. Next one going to be, of course, another balancing upgrade. We can talk a little bit about it. Going to not impact the Altaria too much. Going to take a little bit longer now, I think around 2 Dragon Breath most likely to get to the first Sky Attack. Not going to have the craziest, biggest impact on this Pokemon. Still going to be usable, but yeah. Like again, all the nerfs kind of didn't really nerf too much here. Next Pokemon, not usable. Next Pokemon, not preferred. We're going to have here 2 Pokemon with Razor Shell with the Crawdont here and the Pre-Evolution. Next Pokemon here actually going to be finally a little bit better. Scorching Sand on the Claydol. The Confusion user is a very decent move. Definitely the best move it has right now as a charge move. And we can move on to the next one. Going to be, again, just a usable upgrade, side grade, going to be the Lopunny, going to have a triple XL, going to buff its own attack, which is kind of nice, but you don't really have the best coverage, really, because you don't really have stab charge moves, which is kind of awkward, so yeah, that's that. We're going to have Magical Leaf on the Miss Mages here, which definitely is an unusable Pokemon. You don't really want to have it. Same goes for Riolu, maybe decent for like Little Cup with the new move Blaze Kick, but again, it's not really the best one on it, so like I'm going to put it also into the kind of unusable tier. For Lucario, I don't think Blaze Kick is really preferred. Like, you can use it on it, but like it is not that great, to be fair, so I don't really would even put it as a side grade, as you currently kind of want to have either Close Combat or Power Punch and then Shadow Ball for better coverage in most metas. So I doubt that we're going to see the Fire Punch on it, or like not the Fire Punch, the Blaze Kick on it at all, but maybe I'm getting surprised and we're going to see it all the time, but I don't really think it. We're going to have now Scorching Sand on the Hippowdon, going to be also an interesting side grade for this Pokemon, allowing it to get to the move a little bit faster, which is nice because it only has like those Fang moves as a fast move, like Thunder, Fire, or Ice Fang, so you're going to be getting there a little bit faster. You usually run either Body Slam or the Weather Ball Rock, which is going to be also great. Coverage basically, and then Earth Power. So Scorching Sand going to be very decent for this one. Definitely a decent upgrade for it, but doesn't impact too much. Next Pokemon, unusable. Going to be Croagunk. You don't really want to have much on it in any way. Same goes for the Toxic Rock. Cool Pokemon to use, but not with much shot. Not the best upgrade there. Weavile, still a bad Pokemon to use, and Avalanche is just better compared to the Triple XL, giving you guaranteed damage compared to like a little bit of fast move damage extra after the buff there, so it's not really the best. For McMortar, sadly, I would just put into usable side grade with the new move Scorching Sand. Most likely a very decent one for it, but the Pokemon itself just doesn't really do too much. Sadly, an unusable Pokemon is still Shaman. Getting Magical Leaf is definitely better for it, for both Sky as well as the normal form, but the Pokemon itself is just not really that great. Like, sadly, it doesn't have any coverage moves, it doesn't have any bait moves, it just needs more move updates for this Pokemon to have any potential. It's definitely an upgrade for it, but it's just sadly still very bad. I have 100 of them and I really wish I could use it, but right now it's not a great upgrade for it, sadly. Next Pokemon does not prefer the Scorching Sand, most likely, which is going to be Excadrill. You want to have Drill Run. Drill Run is just better. You get there one fast move faster and it does the same amount of damage. So going just for the debuff there option is not really the smartest idea. Next up, we're going to have the Trailblaze. No, not the Trailblaze. Actually, we're only going to have Magical Leaf on this Pokemon here, which is an unusable Pokemon anyway, and Magical Leaf doesn't help it out either. So yeah, I actually forgot the name of it. The Lilligant. Here, the Lilligant is not going to be too nice. Now we're going to have the Sourcebug family gaining access to Trailblaze. Yes, it's going to help you out a little bit, but the Pokemon itself sadly kind of sucks, so like we're going to have to put it a little bit lower. Next one going to be the Amoonguss. There is an Imposter Amoonguss, but the Imposter is going to go directly into the side grade option. I don't think that Astonish is going to make this Pokemon meta, even though it's very decent there. Next Pokemon, honestly, my favorite, kinda Excelgor with Water Shuriken. I like this Pokemon a lot. It is not as great, like I'm gonna put lower, good upgrade, but I feel like it's a cool, funny Pokemon to use as a closer. Having access to Focus Blast, Acid Spray, Bug Buzz, and now, of course, as a fast move, Water Shuriken to generate energy insanely fast. Going to be funny. I might make a video for like Double Ninja team with Greninja and Hydreigon there. Not Hydreigon. Excelgor. It has something with high in the German name, by the way, in there. That's why I kind of got confused. So don't blame me for that one. But next one, going to be Mienshao. Still horrible Pokemon, sadly. Getting access to the move Blaze Kick is an upgrade for it, most likely. But if you only have Poison Jab as a fast move as a fighting type Pokemon, then you kind of suck still anyway. Next Pokemon has the Astonish buff, as well as the Poltergeist buff, but I still don't think that this Pokemon is going to be any good. Golurk, sorry Golurk there, I know that a lot of people like this Pokemon. Unless Astonish is going to be amazing. I mean, I guess I can do it as a side grade, mostly usable. Like, the stats of this Pokemon are bad, the typing itself is bad. It is decent against maybe Medicham, but Astonish really has to be like 15-14 energy generation for this Pokemon to be decent. So it's just a no for me right now. Next one, going to be Magical Leaf on the, I actually don't even know the name of this Pokemon again. So I'm just going to put it into unusable Pokemon because I never really use it. It's the evolution of, I think Esper it's called. So yeah, definitely not the best Pokemon there at all, but yeah, like those move upgrades you always have where like there are a lot of Pokemon that just don't really need a move update or like don't really get a move update that really helps them. Same goes for the next Pokemon already here. The getting another Razor Shell Pokemon here, we also forgot the name of it. Barbarical gets Razor Shell, not really ideal for it, just a bad move sadly. They have to buff Razor Shell. A cool upgrade which I really like is Breaking Swipe on the Helioptile or like Heliolisk there. This Pokemon is going to be really fun to use. Volt Switch, Grass Knot and Breaking Swipe going to give you coverage against basically everything electric is weak to. And I love it, and I think it's going to be a cool Pokemon to use. It's just a fun one to use. It's just something that's like, yeah, it's a squishy, it has some potential at least. It is exactly kind of what the type of Pokemon that I like to play. So we're going to move on now to the next one. Klefki going to also have Astonish, going to be a decent buff. Mostly better than Tackle right now, so definitely cool. We're actually gonna get closer to the end of the tier list, so it's going to be nice. Next one, unusable Rowlet. You don't want to have it on it. You don't want to have it on the entire line base. I mean, Rowlet is, they're actually kind of all usable, never mind. They're all kind of usable eventually at least, but they all don't want to have the new move Magical Leaf on them. Magical Leaf is just so bad, sadly, like, just don't, sadly. Next one, going to be a nice side grade. Going to be Blaze Kick on the Incineroar. Going to get Blast Burn eventually, which is going to be definitely a little bit better. But right now, it's better than either of Flame Charge as well as Fire Blast, so definitely going to be a decent side grade for it. Next Pokemon, unusable. The Rockruff there, I think it's called, I'm not sure. But the Lycanroc evolutions here right now, going to be still sadly unusable, the one. And for the other one, it's just a decent side grade for the Midnight form. Getting access now to something that can beat Swampert is kind of nice, but you already have Psychic Fangs, which is just cheaper. Yes, you don't boost your own attack with it, but you drop the opponent's defense. But I feel like Psychic Fangs is just a little bit better for this Pokemon. It's a decent coverage move, so definitely something that you can use on it, so that's totally fine. Next one. Kinda maybe want to get it for like Little Cup or something as a secondary charge move, but you have Leaf Blade on this Fomantis here right now, which is kind of okay. But yeah, you kind of want to have usually just a Leaf Blade spam on this Pokemon. Doesn't learn any great coverage move otherwise. I think it learns like Energy Ball and Grass Knot or some stuff. So like now Trailblaze on this Pokemon can help out a little bit, but it's just not really that nice because you just usually go for Leaf Blade spam. And same goes for the evolution, which now learns Trailblaze, which can buff its own attack, but you don't really do that much damage with the fast moves anyway. You want to have Superpower and Leaf Blade on it, so like it's not preferred to use this move at all onto the Lurantis either, so we're going to see that also in the not preferred tier. Only the final Pokemon left now, we're going to have the Steenie having access to the move Triple Axel. Again, not really a Pokemon that's usable at all. And same goes sadly for Serena right now, it needs an upgrade. Serena would be really cool if it gets a better fast move, or like also I think it needs better charge moves as well still. But Triple Axel would help this Pokemon out, but it's still a horrible Pokemon, so sadly unusable there. We're going to have the small Sandcastle, also kind of an unusable Pokemon, but for the bigger Sandcastle, it's going to be the definitely decent side grade, not great, crazy as an upgrade, but yeah. It's definitely going to be interesting. Next one going to be now Squirrel as the Little Cup Pokemon, again getting access to Trailblaze, going to buff its own attack, which is cool for Tackle for sure, so I'm definitely going to put it into... Actually, I think it's a good upgrade. For Little Cup, Squirrel with Trailblaze is a decent upgrade to get the tackle buff, which is really cool to have, so definitely cool there. We're going to have the Greedent, which is also a good upgrade, but like one of the higher ones. Getting access to Mudshot, going to be way better than either Tackle or the current Bullet Seed, so definitely cool upgrade there, going to charge even faster now. We have more of a side grade again, the Trailblaze on the Berserker, going to be an interesting Pokemon to use. It's usually most likely not preferred, Crunch plus, not Crunch, Foul Play plus the Close Combat is still most likely the better move to go for, but maybe it's actually, like I looked at it a little bit, it is a little bit of a sim hero. Like if you go for the bait and get the attack buff and then you can one-shot opponents with Close Combat, I guess I have to put it a little bit higher. Like it looked a little bit better than the current moveset on P-Poke when I looked through all of it, but it's still most likely not the best one there. Next one going to be Mr. Rime. Mr. Rime is going to commit some crimes, but not today. It's still an unusable Pokemon. It's not even as preferred because you have Icy Wind on it as well, but Triple XL still works out okay, but like it's just sadly such a bad Pokemon, man. I kind of have to put it into like side grade, I guess, but like, yeah, nah, I don't know. Next one, we're going to have the Nerdy Alecki, which is going to have Volt Switch now. it's actually has less wins than, for example, with Lock On, just because you get less energy from it, and you're too squishy anyway. So like, maybe it's a decent side grade, to be fair, because you can maybe farm down Pokemon eventually, get them to a Thunder, knock out opponents, but usually you want to add, honestly, it's just not really preferred on it. Like, Lock On is better on it, in my opinion, still, so it's not the best one. We're gonna go to the final one here right now, which is going to be Regidrago, which is going to be an unusable Pokemon, because it still learns only Bite for whatever reason. And so here it is, basically, top tier Pokemon, they are on top. A wonderful little cap actually with Onix, but also the other ones are super strong with it. There are definitely some Pokemon that I missed out as well. There are just too many moves that got changed. I'm sorry for that. If there are some Pokemon that you kind of want to rank, you can definitely rank them in the comment section. But this was a ton of work. If you appreciate it, feel free to leave a like, and I hope I see you then. Bye bye.